from where you at. I came here for vengeance, watch your back. No need to defend, I'm on attack. Sorry they can't reply, but I guarantee they had a blast. Pop, 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 I be on the next only, yeah, I am fresh to death.
Welcome back to the Long Haul Mentality. This is your host, as always, Nick Bagley, and this week I am joined by a legend in the sport of bodybuilding, Branch Warren. How you doing, Branch?
Good. How you doing, Nick? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, thank you for spending some time with me, man. I know you're super busy. We talk about how much travel you do all the time, so I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time.
Not a problem. So just got back from Olympia, and first we finally had some depth at the Olympia now, like some really good guys, a lot of young and up and coming guys that are, I think, going to work their way up to that top spot. So it was a very exciting show.
Yes, it was. I mean, we have to. I feel like we have to kick this off and just talk about Jordan. You know, I mean, massive year for him, winning 2 shows and now 12th in the world. Like, pretty insane. But going into the show, where did you think he was going to end up?
You know, I did a podcast on at the show there at the Olympia, and I said, he could battle for that 10th spot. I thought, I thought anywhere between 9th and 12th was where he'd end up. I think with another year, maybe 2 years of improvement, if he continues to prove at the same rate that he did this last year, he'll crack the top 10 next time for sure. And then after that, it's just, who he stands next to and how he looks. So, his future is very bright. He's a young man. He's very disciplined, hard worker. So I think you're going to see him continue to rise up. He's one of those young guys I'm talking about that's up and coming and going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yep, I agree. And in Tuttle, I mean, kudos to Tuttle. Tuttle is doing an awesome job with him. I mean, he's done 3 shows in a fairly short period of time, and every single peak has been damn near spot on.
Yeah.
I think that most of what I've been hearing is that if he gets a little bit more back, a little bit more arms, that'll really kind of project him forward, and kind of think the same thing.
Yeah, he's got at the back. He's got to get more density and separation in that back. The arms need to come up a little bit. And that's really it. His conditioning was pretty good. If he wants to crack that top 5 spot, he will have to get a little more the next level of conditioning to crack that top 5 spot. But every show I've seen him in, he continues to improve in all those areas. So I'm sure he's young enough, and they're learning as they go. So he'll continue to get better.
Yep. So now going into the final results of the show, obviously Derek got his title back. Hadi got 2nd. Andrew got 3rd, and then Samson ended up dropping to 4th. So were you at the show?
I was not.
Okay.
So I actually had front row tickets, and I gave them away. So I worked. I was so busy at this Olympia, probably the busiest Olympia I've ever had, with meetings and whatnot, between meeting and greeting fans and business meetings at the expo and at the Renaissance. I started with a breakfast meeting at 7 a.m. and I got back to my room about midnight every night. So
solid.
It was good, no complaints. But I didn't. When the show rolled around, I was like, nah.
Yeah. The Olympia weekend's not fun for you anymore. Even back then, it wasn't fun for you. It was always business,
It's always business. So I don't think I've ever gone to Olympia and just for fun or pleasure. It's always business, Now, that being said, I love bodybuilding. I love competing in it.
Right.
But it was a different level of different attitude,
I feel like it. Obviously, I can't speak for you, but it's probably just a lot of energy to deal with people wanting to talk to you all day.
It is. You got to be on. I think that's the biggest thing when you're in the public like that. Even if you didn't see good or you're not in a good mood, doesn't matter. Because all they know is, oh my God, that's Branch Warren. They just want to talk to you for a few minutes. And if you're cool to them, you take a few minutes. They'll tell their friends. If you ignore them or you're an asshole, then they'll tell 25 people that dude's a dick. So you just got to remember, these people see you on YouTube or on the magazines or TV or whatever, and they see and get a chance to meet you. So I just remember back when I was a kid, I had a very negative experience with a pro when I was a kid. And real quick story, I was a teenager, and Ronnie was competing down in Houston, and Ronnie wasn't Ronnie yet. He just turned pro, and he was up and coming, and I want to go see him compete. I've never been to a pro show. So I was a teenager, I was 19, I asked Ronnie, I said, hey man, can you get us tickets to the show? He goes, yeah. He goes, how many you need? I said, 2. And so I told my friend, I said, hey, let's drive down. I'll drive. You buy the gas on the way down, and I'll buy the gas on the way back. He's like, all right. So we get on there, and we go to the show, and there's a pro there I want to meet. I'd never asked anybody for a picture in my life. And he's competing against Ronnie. Ronnie got 6 in that show. This guy, I think, did a little bit better. And anyway, he's a complete asshole to us. Wanted to charge me like $10 to take a picture. Wouldn't sign an autograph. My buddy gets into it with him. And I'm like, man, let's just go. And we're driving back to Dallas from Houston, and we're talking about it. And I said, man, my friend's like, well, he's gonna be an asshole, man. We just want to take a picture with him. And I was like, if anybody ever came to me and wanted to take a picture with me, it would humble me, right? I'd be like, wow, that's cool. And so I remember that. So fast forward a few years, I turned pro. And my second pro show, I competed against this guy and I beat him. And I went backstage. I said, hey, bro, I said, you don't remember this, but a few years back, a couple young kids want to take pictures with you down in Houston. You're a complete dick to that kid. I got the kid was me. I said, so you never know who that kid is that you're being a dick to because they might grow up and whoop your ass. And so that, he didn't, of course, he didn't remember me, but he damn sure remembered that I whooped his ass. So I'm on stage. So you
That's
never know, right?
hilarious.
So
That's funny. That's a perfect branch of Warren story. That's one of the, like, whenever we have conversations, I always love when they end up going into like the old stories and stuff because you've got some wild ones. But we kind of got off track there as far as the Olympia was concerned. But so, what were your final thoughts on the top four?
the way I saw it Friday night, I thought Nick was in the driver's seat. I thought Martin came out and looked really good. I think Martin was battling for a top 3 spot when he first came out. He made great improvements. He was spot on conditioning, but he started to fade. Hadi, was really good. As soon as Samson came out, I knew he was off. His strength is his overwhelming size. He was like 290 something last year, high 290s, and that's why he won because he's so massive. He's got great shape to be a big guy. His conditioning wasn't great, but it was good. And at the Olympia, size matters. And so a guy that big and with that shape doesn't have to be as hard as a Derek or Hadi. They just got to be good. And he was last year, and that's why he won. Everybody, I guess, kept telling him he needed to be harder, so he came down to, I heard, like the 270 something. As soon as he walked out, I was like, oh, he's off. He was small, and that was his greatest strength was his size. Conditioning wasn't good. I think it got worse on Saturday. I think he tried to eat up to fill out, and it just didn't work. Nick, Nick is a big, thick dude. Nick is my height, and I think he steps on stage probably 20 or 25 pounds heavier than I was. The dude is huge.
Massive.
But the problem with Nick, he's got a wide waist. He's got a long torso, short legs. His quads don't match his upper body as far as he's got these massive shoulders and back. He needs more quad sweep. He's got these funky veins going on that kind of, love him or hate him. It distracts. And I don't think Nick was really that off. I think he just had 5 guys that are genetically and structurally superior to him. Now you've got, like I said earlier, you've got guys at this show that there's depth. You've got several guys that are big. They get really hard now, and they got great structure and shape. And that leaves Nick as the odd man out. So it's going to be hard for him. As they got like guys like Jordan and I forget the guy's name from Brazil, up and coming. You've got several of these guys that are 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th place they got great physiques and they're up and coming. It may be a hard day for Nick going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think he said that he was like 10 or 11 pounds up from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was awesome. I loved the Pittsburgh look.
And the one guy I want to bring up, special reach out to was Andrew Jacks. Best I've ever seen him.
God.
Best I've ever seen him. If he could get his lower back glutes and hamstrings a little tighter, the dude wins all show.
Yep, I agree.
From the front, he was overwhelming.
Agree.
But you're standing next to, Derek and Hadi was a couple of the best back double biceps in the business, and that's where he got beat. If he can get that a little tighter, he wins the whole thing.
Yep.
If he has the top physique, he could hold on to it for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I'll finish the thought on Nick, and then we'll go to Andrew because I'm right there with you. But yeah, it seems like that 10, 11 pounds ended up kind of in his core. And I always said it to a couple of people. Like I love Nick. Nick's an awesome dude. We talk on a regular basis, and I like it. I honestly had multiple predictions where I said Nick was going to win. But it seems like the 10 pounds went to his midsection, and then because his midsection was bigger, his quads took a hit. Like his quads just didn't. I don't know that they were necessarily smaller, but they had the illusion as if they were. Like the sweep didn't have the same type of pop, and it just wasn't there. And it, like you said, it really threw off the look. But he was huge for sure, like fucking massive.
Yeah, the dude's got a shit ton of muscle, and he gets in great shape. I think there was a few years there where we didn't have a lot of depth at the Olympia, and Nick always brought it and came in shape, and so he got a ton of muscle, so he did well at the Arnold and the Olympia. But now, like I said, you got several guys now that are good and they got better structure. So, can he still win? Absolutely. But for Nick to win, he has to be 100% on.
Yep.
Because if his physique, if he's off, he doesn't fall 1 or 2 spots, he falls 4, 5, 6 spots.
Yeah, and we've seen that before. We saw him drop a couple spots in multiple shows because he came in too big, and like they came in big again, you know, and it's the same thing every time. You come in too big, you lose your shape.
100%. You got to be conditioned.
Yeah.
You know, Martin, I actually, in a very close decision, I picked him to win, you know, because I think the kid, give him 2 or 3 years, he needs a little more muscle and a few shots. His condition is freaking on point, and if he can learn how to peak without fading, because he did that last year, but he recovered on Saturday night and looked good. I wish they'd have let him stand next to Samson on Saturday night. He would have beat Samson for that fourth spot. But I think going forward, the kid he'll be a top 2 guy.
Yep. I agree. I mean, he's like 232 pounds, something like that. I mean, he's standing next to guys who are 40, 50 pounds heavier than him on stage. Like, it doesn't, there's not this, you can tell that he is a smaller stature than the rest, but it's not like he's giving up so much size that he's lost in the lineup.
He could hang
So, yeah.
low. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, you know, I think with a lot of the things that I watched, I didn't see a lot of people talking about Martin being in that top spot. A lot of people had him dropping back to 6th or lower, you know, and I think now, like the first year you get 4th and it's like, all right, can you do it again? Now he's shown he got top 5 twice in the last 2 years. Like, I think he's going to start being a much more of a name in that conversation for the top spot.
No, he's a top tier bodybuilder for sure. And I don't, anybody says different. I just point to his record the past couple of years.
Yep.
He's won multiple shows. He's beaten some of the best in the business. So he's a top tier athlete.
Yep. And to go back to Andrew, we talked about him for a quick second, but like, if there was a most improved award, that man's got it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the main place where he starts to lose steam is in the side shots, and then, like you said, in the back shots, because he doesn't have enough glute and he doesn't have enough hamstring yet. Like his quads, like all of his front shots are probably, you could put him above anyone on the stage, right? And his, like,
yeah. He from the side, he loses a little bit. From the rear, he gets beat. You know, I mean, you guys, you know, Derek, Hadi, even Martin, Nick Walker from the back, they all beat him, and that hurts him. He fixes those rear shots, and he wins the whole thing.
Yep.
As far as I agree with the placings, I think it could have gone either way. I think I was privy to the scores. So Friday night, I think Nick finished in front. Saturday night, Hadi finished in front, but it wasn't enough to overcome the deficit from Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Nick ended up with the victory, which you could argue anyway.
I mean, Derek?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Derek. Yeah, Derek. Derek was in first, and then Hadi second. Then they flip-flopped on Saturday night with Hadi in first, and then Derek in second. But it wasn't Hadi didn't win by enough on Saturday night to overcome the deficit of.
Yeah.
And so he ended up in second. So both those guys looked really good. You know, I definitely I agreed with actually how the scores came out, because I thought Derek was a clear front runner after Friday at the prejudging. In the finals, Hadi came in looking much better, and I thought he won Saturday night. So, but it's a 2-day show, right? Though you don't just throw out the prejudging scores; they count too. So you got to look good both nights. And you know, so Derek pulled it off. So you could argue all day long that Hadi should have won. And I get that, because it was super, super tight.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it from the house, and Hunter and a bunch of other people were at the house, and I was like, I can't stop looking at Hadi. Like the way he looked, and the one of the biggest like knocks that he's had over the last few years is like he's peeled from the front, and then the back is not quite the same condition. It's good condition, but it doesn't match that crazy shredded look that he has from the front. What I noticed is that he brought that a little bit better in the back, but with that also lost a little bit of size. And then the quad issue, his right quad is just a little bit downsized from the left, and I feel like it was a little bit more apparent. Did you kind of see similar things?
I didn't notice that. To me, that wasn't an issue, wasn't a factor. I thought Hadi looked really good.
I agree.
You know, I think at the end of the day, I think, you know, if Hadi beat Derek from a few of the shots on the front, Derek beat him by a lot bigger from the rear. You know, Derek's got the best back double bicep and last spread in the business right now. There's several guys that are good ones. Nick has a good one. Martin has a good one. Hadi's got a good one. But Derek's got the best one in the business, probably one of the best of all time. And so I think he beat those guys by such a margin from the rear that a few shots that Hadi beat him from the front wasn't enough to overtake him, you know?
Yep.
Besides the toss-up, man, I mean, those guys both have great side shots, side chest, side tricep. So it's just, you know, that's what you want to see, though. You want to see a tight show. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Andrew Jack, like I said, he gets that lower back glutes and hams right. he beats them all.
Yep.
So
I agree.
even if Samson comes in like he did last year, it won't matter. Andrew Jackson will beat him.
It was cool to see like Andrew and Samson next to each other and Derek and Hadi next to each other, because it was like two groupings of categories and you could kind of see the difference between there. So that was really cool. Now, before we move past the week's Olympia, I do want to ask your opinion about ERS, right? Because there was a lot of people talking about ERS going into the Olympia. Like Sean Ray openly said, like, you shouldn't do it, skip it, and go on to the next year. And there was a lot of people saying that, and there was a lot of people going, "Oh, it's only a couple of weeks. Like, just let him go do it and get the experience and get on stage and whatever." What are your thoughts about, one, the look he brought, and two, should he have done the show? Going to take a quick break from the podcast to bring a few things to your attention. First off, as I was going through the YouTube analytics, I noticed that almost 70% of my watchers are not subscribed. So if you're watching this right now, please do me a favor and click that subscribe button. Every single time I get a new subscriber, comments, likes, and shares, this helps spread the podcast more, and I really, really appreciate you guys. This podcast has no paid sponsorships, so the best way for you to support my channel is to support my sponsors. So Labrada Pro Series is my supplement sponsor. We have a full line of products with some new ones coming. The pre-workout is on the way right now, and the new Labrada Nutrition RTD pre-workout is about to hit the market as well. On top of Labrada Pro Series, I also have Gasp and Better Bodies, and then I also have Authentic Aminos. Please go support these companies. Use my code Bagley10 for Labrada Pro Series, Bagley15 for Gasp and Better Bodies, and Bagley for Authentic Aminos. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the podcast.
That's a personal decision for him. He thought that's what he wanted to do, and it's like he wanted to get up there and do it. I get that. You qualify for Olympia, it's hard not to do the show. I've seen a break. I missed a couple other ones because I was injured. But when I turned pro, I took off a couple years, and I didn't do the Olympia. I didn't, because I wasn't ready. Because my theory is I didn't want to go to the show to be seen. I didn't want to go to the show to get the experience. I went to the show to win. And I didn't do that many shows, but I won half of all the shows I did as a pro. And so, me personally, I would have looked at myself. I was very real with myself, and if I was nervous, I would have said, you know what, I'm not good enough to, I'm being real here, and I can't make the top 5 or can't make the top 10 probably. So I'm gonna sit it off, make the improvement I need to make, come back and have a chance to fight for the title. That's just me. That's how I think. I don't, obviously everybody's different. I've got a little bit of an attitude towards some things, I'm sure, than other guys do, and vice versa. But that's okay. I would have set out, made the improvements I need to make, came back next year, and been able to make it. My first Olympia, I got 8th, and then I got injured, came back, and took a whole year off from the injury. Basically, won a show and qualified for Olympia and got 2nd. So, but everybody's different.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And what did you think about his overall look?
First, I saw Russ 2 years ago, year and a half ago in New York for New York Pro. You want to work out with me? We were up there for the show, and I said, of course, and came to the gym, and he competed a few weeks earlier. He was like 260 and shredded. I'm like, he's one of these guys that had to counterblast so much muscle to make that classic, weight. And he's like, you think I can go open one day? I go, bro, you're already an open bodybuilder. I said, you actually look better at this weight. He was like 260 with shredded glutes. I mean, the dude was insane. I go, bro, if you just go drop your water, you could probably place in this show tomorrow. And he's like, you think so? I'm like, yeah, I know so. And I think he made the right decision to go up. He's a young man. He's what, 26, 27?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's very young. Super popular. And he just needs a little more time. He knows what he needs to bring up. And he's a smart kid. And I think you give him some time to mature and grow, and he'll be a solid open competitor.
I mean, from what I heard, he was like 265 at the Olympia this year. I mean,
you take kids like him, Jordan, Martin, these kids, they're going to be battling each other for a long time because those guys are going to move up. I guarantee it. And that's going to be your top guys here in a few years.
Yep. No, I definitely agree. It's always fun when there's so many different opinions about who people think should have won, right? Like, I think it's way more fun for people to debate back and forth and like it be that close of a show than just like a hands down, like when Phil was winning, right? It was like, all right, Phil's great. Who's coming in second, right? It kind of gets boring after a while, if I'm being honest. Do you think same thing or?
Um, I think if you actually know what the criteria is, and so you got to understand this, it's not a beauty pageant. This is a bodybuilding show. And if you know what the criteria is, then you can sit there and break it down. And sometimes it's close, man. Like you take Derek and Hadi, it was close. I heard a lot of people think Andrew Jack should have won. And something I want to make real clear here: when you see it on a live stream or TV, it looks much different than when you're a person. Because there are athletes that do not photograph well, they're not photogenic, but you see them in person, they're overwhelming. And I always like to use Dorian Yates as an example. You see the pictures of Dorian, you're like, how the hell did he beat Flex and Kevin and Sean and these guys? I mean, because in the pictures, you're like, what the hell? If you saw it in person, as soon as he walked from the curtain to center stage, the show was over. He was head and shoulders above everybody. His conditioning, his development, separation, I mean, it was just no contest. He killed him. And Dorian actually had perfect symmetry, believe it or not. He's the only Mr. Olympia in history to have perfect symmetry, where your arms match your calves, et cetera, et cetera. And so it wasn't pretty, but if you know what the criteria is and the standards, he was one of the best ever.
Did
So
you got to see him compete?
his last one, even with a torn bicep, tricep, whatever, he still dominated everybody. I mean, I don't think anybody else could have won the Olympia with a torn body part, but the dude still did. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to, I kind of had a hard time understanding how he won the symmetry round, but every other round, I get it. I mean, he killed him.
Yeah.
So, and so that's what if your people argue about stuff, and I'm like, well, Andrew wasn't from the front. He beats everybody from the side. He has some weakness, and from the rear, if you can just get those glutes, hams, and lower back shredded, and his hamstring separated, then he will be the champ.
I know the guy that's helping him with his training, and he's very, very intelligent as far as like getting someone to just train hard and not this whole sciencey thing that we see going around these days. And I'm speaking to the king of hard training here. So while we're on that topic, when first off, was Dorian one of the main people that you looked up to when you were coming through the ranks, and what you were looking to aspire as far as a bodybuilder, or who did you draw inspiration from?
So I don't know if you know this, but I did my first several bodybuilding shows. I trained with Ronnie Coleman. I came to Metroflex when I was 17, and I trained that summer with Ronnie. And then all my teenage years, I trained there with Ronnie and this guy Mark, who's his workout partner. Of course, Ronnie gave me inspiration, but at the time we were both amateurs, and he was trying to get his pro card. And then he got his pro card, and he was trying to work his way up. And so the guys I looked up to were Dorian Yates and Rich Gaspari. Not so much because of their physiques, but because of their work ethic and the way they trained. And then we kind of took that. I mean, they had intensity. Dorian had his style of training, which really wasn't my style of training. But and then Rich was probably a little more closer to how I trained. But then we kind of developed our own way of doing it there at Metroflex, and it worked for us.
Yeah. Yep. So the I don't know how much you pay attention to social media, but unfortunately, I'm on it way too much. The thing that is being pushed around these days, and it's mostly just because it pisses people off, is the scientific crowd talking about like you need to train this way in order to get this response and this, that, and the other. And there's people who are like on both sides of the fence, and they're screaming at each other. They're just yelling back and forth, and nothing's going anywhere, right? And a lot of the times, the thing I hear is that the physiques these days are not as good because they do not train the way they did in the 90s and 2000s. Do you agree with that, or do you think that we're moving in a good direction?
I do agree with that. I'm gonna say this: the physiques now don't look like the physiques in the 90s and 2000s. All right, why is that? It's training. The training is different for the most part. The nutrition, all that, supplementation is probably a little different too. But like I said before, every generation learns from the generation before them. The guys from the 90s learned from the guys in the 80s, and then they took the sport in the direction they choose collectively. Same thing. We learned from the guys in the 90s, and in the 2000s, we took the sport in our direction. And I think this generation is probably the first generation. They all know us. Like, they all give me respect or something when I see them. I know all the guys, but I don't think I think they got motivation from us, but I don't think they learned from us. I think they learned from social media. And I think that's the big difference, because this generation that's, up there now, that's the first generation that grew up with social media as teenagers and up and coming, bodybuilders. So I think they learned a little bit different. And I think that's why you see such different training techniques. And I think that's why the guys look bigger. The guys are bigger. I'm sure the average weight on Olympia is heavier than it was, but are they as hard and conditioned as the guys in the 90s, 2000s? They're not, with a couple of exceptions. So I think it's just different. I hate to be one of the guys that criticize them, because when we were competing, we had some of the older guys criticize us, but the difference between our generation is we kicked all those guys' asses and took over. So my generation, they never beat us, bro. We just retired. But think about that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a good statement there. But yeah, I sometimes wonder if it's like if there's a way to kind of mash both together. So as someone who grew up watching your videos, if I had tried to train like you, I'd be in a wheelchair. I'm just gonna put
Well,
that, I'm gonna
I'm
put
gonna
that
put
to
that
you.
up this out here too. I never once have I ever told anybody to train like me.
Right? No. I
You never
completely.
heard me
Yep.
say that. I mean, in
Yep.
the
I've heard
gym
you say
or
that.
in my videos or anything, if you can take something I did and incorporate it into your program, it's a win.
Yep.
I trained the way I did because, number one, it worked for me. Number
Hmm.
two, I liked it, and so I don't really people are gonna say what they're gonna say. I don't care. Usually when people criticize me, I'm like, well, how many shows you win?
Yeah. 100%.
So
Like I've had people have that argument with me before of like, well, if Branch had trained this way, he might be better. And I've always pushed back and said, well, probably not, to be honest, because you drew a lot of your drive from your ability to beat the living shit out of yourself in the gym. Right. And that was something that pushed you forward and made you better mentally. If you hadn't done that and you had done the type of training that people do now, I don't know that you would have had the same dog like in you to get on stage and compete with these guys. Do you
no,
think
I don't.
the same
I
thing?
agree
Or
with that 100%. And let
yeah,
me tell you something. When did it become not cool to try to outwork everybody?
sure.
I grew up on a farm. Hard work is what you did, right? That's how you earned
Yeah.
your respect. I earned my respect in that gym as a teenager because of hard work. When I was 19, Metroflex was the gym back then, right? Every top bodybuilder in the area trained there. And at one point, the only pros in Dallas Fort Worth trained at Metroflex. And there was three of us. Now there's fucking 5,000 of them. But but and so my point being, by the time I was 19, I had beat everybody in that gym except for Ronnie and Mark. And it's because I attribute that to hard work and the way we trained. I mean, look how Ronnie trained. He gets criticism too. Oh, his form wasn't good, this and that. Really?
He's
I
still the
mean,
goat.
yeah. I mean, so and Jay too. I mean, you look at some of the best people of all time, and their form wasn't great, right? Sometimes what people don't understand is you got to get mad at the weight, and it's intensity that matters. If you
Yep.
don't have that crazy intensity, then you're not going to get a full everything out of the set that you should get out of it. I mean, I heard about some guy talking about now you shouldn't train to failure or something. You should stop 2 reps short of failure. I'm like, motherfucker, last time I checked, those last 2 reps is when you grew. And then I did everything in the world to figure out how to go beyond failure to do even more. I mean, strip sets, drop sets, force reps, rest pause, whatever I had to do to get more, do more, tear myself down as much as possible. It's at the end of the day, it ain't never changed. It's train to exhaustion, to failure, rest, recover, repeat.
Yep.
That's all it is. These guys try to make it so hard and so difficult. I mean, I was listening to Ryan do a seminar together. We were doing a seminar together one time, and they asked me, how do you describe your way you train, Ronnie? He goes, well, I lift the maximum weight I can lift for the maximum amount of reps I can lift it. I rest and do it again. It works.
If only people heard that and that actually understood it, was like, maybe I should do that. It's like I
You,
think
you
that
can make this sport as hard and complicated as you want,
yeah.
or you can keep it simple and just learn to work hard and be disciplined. And it's like cheat meals and all that shit. I I don't get that. I mean, okay, if you need to fill up, eat more good food. Why go eat shit? I think that's just weak-minded people that want an excuse to go eat shitty food. That's my
Yeah.
take on that.
No, yeah, it's definitely an interesting point for sure. I mean, I think for me, like over the years, like I've followed Chris Gethin for years, and he was one of the original guys that I followed and learned how to train from. So I did his DTP stuff. I did his really, really hard, intense training and whatnot. And I've run the spectrum in the 15 years that I've been lifting and whatnot. But the thing that I found that works best for me is like I have to keep some level of control, and I have to make sure that like I am moving myself well, or else I walk away just in pain all the time, especially now that I'm not like a full competitor anymore.
That's you talking about like control when you're in the gym.
Yeah, no, like putting in what I mean is like as I'm doing it, I'm focused on the muscle that I'm moving. I'm using the typical standard form across all of my sets. So like every time I do it, I'm doing it the similar pattern, but also going in there and going, well, I'm going to push myself as hard as I can. It's not just like squeezy stuff that's like, all right, yeah, I felt the muscle and got a pump. I'm still pushing myself to failure, but I'm more strict with myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. I'm always in control of weight. I'm always in control and always feel it. Now that's people say you're just slinging it. No, I'm not, because I'm totally in control and I'm feeling the muscle. You know, and if I get a little body English to get a few more reps, so be it. You know, I just, whatever people are going to say, what they're going to say, and like I said, I don't care. I never told anybody to train the way I do. It worked for me, and it worked for Johnny, it worked for Ronnie, and worked for a lot of other people. So
Yeah. And
whatever.
that's the good argument for the people who'd be like, oh, he's just slinging weight around. It's like, well, the one thing that you can't measure is like how you feel it, right? Like I can't go and say like watch you do an exercise and go, oh, you got the best contraction ever doing that. I can't tell you. You're the only person that knows that. So like if you were doing the sloppy form, but you felt everything you wanted to feel and the muscles are growing, how is it wrong? You know?
Well, check this out. Dorian Yates had perfect form, right? Of course, according to most people, right? How many times did he tear muscles in half?
Yeah. Yeah.
In his career, he tore his quad,
Yep.
not the tendon, but the quad tendon, the muscle. He tore his
Mhm.
bicep in half. He tore his tricep in half. Ended his career, right? I never got hurt in the gym, ever.
Yeah. Just a horse off a generation iron, right?
Oh yeah, but that's just doing that. Every time I got hurt, I was outside. I was doing something, all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
riding horses or doing something outside the gym. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never got hurt in the gym. So so think about that. So if I
Yeah.
wasn't in control of the weight, how could that happen?
Yeah.
So just
100%.
because, yeah. So I mean, I can destroy people's arguments all day long about it, but in the day, it's like if it works for you, I never criticize how other people train. I had a top pro I trained compete against, probably my biggest nemesis when I was competing, and dude, my wife trained harder than him. But we did I don't know how many appearances over the years, and I'm like, bro, what are you training? He's like, not you, not with you, whatever it is. And he wouldn't train with me. But you know what? I never criticized this dude. I made fun of him, so I'm like, dude, you train like a girl. But hell, girls train harder than him. But he it worked for him. He built a world class physique, and it worked for him.
Right.
And I step on stage, and every time I can't remember how many times we went 1 and 2 in big shows. Sometimes I got him, sometimes I didn't. But the way he trained, it worked for him. If I
Yep.
trained like that, I'd look like a fucking ball sack. But it worked for him. So what? And that's why I don't understand these people. They get so bent out of shape. Oh, you're not doing it right, dude. Don't worry about me, bro. Worry about you.
Yeah.
So.
People are too worried about being right these days. When
Mhm.
the unfortunate reality is none of us are right, right? I am only right within context. I'm only correct within the parameters that I'm dealing with that are in front of me. And that's it. Like if I tried to apply like something that one of my clients is doing to one of my other people, it's not going to fucking work, right? I'm only right if I'm paying attention to the context of the situation, and the context of the situation here is you were second in the world, so I think you might have done something right.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. So
So if you don't give people the advice to train like you, what piece of advice would you give to the guys currently that they could take away from what you did and what your generation did that can make them better now?
couple things. You got to have discipline. Without discipline, you got nothing. Number two, work hard. I don't care what people say. If you outwork the guy that you're going to step on stage with, even if you may not be as genetically gifted as him, you will beat him if you can consistently outwork him day in and day out in the gym. And that means you train harder, you're more intense, you're more disciplined with your food, your cardio, everything. Then eventually you'll beat him. I know I lived it. I learned early on that I could beat guys who were better than me if I just outworked them. I could I just learned that I could outwork them. I could be smarter. I could be strict with my diet, and I researched everything. Most people don't, in my generation, most of us didn't have gurus, right? I was self-taught. I did all this stuff, and all the way from 1992 up until 2008, 2009, I did it myself, And so, and I won pretty much every show in the world except at that point, except for the Arnold and Olympia. So I educated myself about nutrition, training, all these things, and I did it myself. So I encourage you guys to do that. Don't just rely on your trainer, because some trainers are excellent, some trainers suck. And there's a few trainers that are dangerous. So if you educate yourself about it and you start doing something that's crazy, you can say, this ain't going to be good. So you got to take the reins sometimes.
No, I completely agree. And I tell people on a regular basis, like things that people have done that they should have known better, and that it ended up causing them problems. And I'll tell them later on, it's like, you knew better than this. You knew that that was the wrong thing to do. And you use the excuse of, oh, I'm just somebody who shows up, and when you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. It's like, okay, I understand what you think you're saying, but to me, that tells me that you're not thinking. You're doing things for the sake of doing things and trying not to piss somebody off. It's like, if you don't think it's right, if it's in your gut telling you that this is the wrong thing to do, you should probably listen to that and push back.
Absolutely. So I think we've in the past 5 years, we've seen a lot of competitors pass away, right? Sometimes some of the even pros at Olympia, it's just happened. And I think, okay, number one, it's you've got some trainers out there that do some unsafe things, right, to their clients. And then, but at the end of the day, if somebody's telling you to do something that's crazy, okay, you gotta like push back and say, okay, because I'm gonna tell you guys, there ain't nobody on this planet hates losing more than me, right? I'd give almost anything to win an Olympia, but I would never ever risk my life to win that show or any other show. It ain't worth it, So just if it sounds crazy and it's insane, it is insane. Don't do it.
Yep. At least having like a baseline education on what it is you're going to do, like instead of just blindly going it. It's like, you're not a sheep. You don't just follow along, right? Like, ask questions. And if your coach has a problem with you asking questions, then you probably need to find another coach.
The wrong coach. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And oh man, just completely spaced on what I was going to ask you there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really solid advice. It's that you really need to learn how to think for yourself. And I think the more people do that and just ask questions, the more we're going to get educated on these things to where we can stop losing people. Like there's a lot of unnecessary risks that I think stemmed from the ever increasing size that the competitors are getting to. With that thought in mind, I don't know how much you really follow the classic stuff, but the height caps and whatnot have really been coming into play, where we had 10 athletes in the classic division not make weight.
Yes.
One of the things that I brought up yesterday when we were talking with Terrence Ruffin about the Olympia is, what are some things that you think the IFBB could do that could potentially change some of that? Because one, like, if I don't know what my height's going to be, I need to plan way in advance to be even leaner than what I was going to be before, so I don't get weighed in wrong. And then the issue is when somebody misses weight like that, what are they about to go do? They're about to go dehydrate themselves more, sweat more, possibly take a diuretic. The issue that I think they're going to run into is somebody's going to kill themselves trying to make weight.
You're 100% correct on that. So I think about this. Everybody should know what their height is, right? Because all these guys to make the Olympia, they had to compete at least once this year, right? And so that means they made their height and weight to compete. So they want to say they don't know what their height and weight is. Well, that what that tells me? Pretty much all these guys, they're having issues. They were qualified at shows overseas. Okay, so that tells me there's some nonsense going on over there, right? They're letting people slide. You're 2 pounds over, you're 4 pounds, whatever. They're just letting them slide, right? And at Olympia and the Arnold, they're not going to let you slide. You come over here for those shows. The height and the weight is what it is. You either make it or you don't. I think what they should do is like they do at the Nationals in USA. There should be an early check-in and a late check-in, right? So you go to early check-in, you don't get it, you got till tomorrow to make it, right? Because then that way you can drop 2 pounds without doing crazy stuff, right? I mean, you go out and go sit in a sauna, get on the treadmill or something, sweat, you can lose 2 pounds. I mean, if you're 5 pounds over, you're probably not in shape. You just didn't prepare properly. So it is what it is. You can't. I think I talked to some people about this subject. They're in the know, and I think what it was is you had some officials overseas that were letting them slide, and I think that's why you had 10 people not make their height, weight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to your point, the problem is now you've got like an hour or whatever it is to go make weight. it's Olympia. So what are guys going to do? They're going to do some crazy stuff,
Mhm.
to go try to make weight. And, sooner or later, it's going to be a bad result.
I mean, I know of at least one classic guy that had to cut it like 10, 12 pounds in 2 hours. That's dangerous.
How can you know what the weight is? Can you show up 12 pounds overweight?
Well, so the pushback that I'll say there, Branch, is the thing that I've seen, and I've talked to multiple classic guys about this, is like through that dehydration process, there's some fluid that comes out of like the interstitial fluid of your spine. And then if the check-in is later in the day and you've had gravity pushing you down all day, you can lose some inches. And those margins are so small where it's like if you're just barely in this cap, barely making that weight, and they drop you down, that's what ends up happening. Then there's big gaps in those weight caps between the heights. So
That's a bunch of bullshit. Come on, man. You know what your height is, man. You know what your weight is. So, man, get your ass in shape and be ready.
Well, so
Talking about
when
some interspatial fluid, the gravity shorting you down. Get the fuck out of here.
Look, I've always been 6 foot. Whenever I was heighted for classic, they heighted me in at 5'11 and a half, and that dropped my weight cap. So
I'm
there's something
5'6". I don't feel sorry for you.
Hey, me being tall did not help me with bodybuilding. So you got me there. I'll tell you that one. I mean,
man. The bottom line is, man, you're a professional, right? You're at the
right.
Super Bowl of our sport. All right. You know what the weight is? Make your weight.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a point. But I think that there's some things that they could do where like maybe they could height them in the off season and then maybe to,
I think what I suggested, talking to this official, I said the Olympia is the official height, right? So that's the one that matters. So you should get an official height card. They put it in the system. So if you're 6 foot tall or 5'11" or 5'8", whatever the case may
right.
be, they put it in the system. Now at that height, you know what your weight is, right? It has to be. This is the maximum amount you can weigh, and just go off that.
Agreed. Yeah, they need to not have to like re-height them every time
Yeah,
because
I
there's
agree.
going to be user error. There's going to be shady people who want somebody to be in their show. Like all those things come into consideration. So I also said that they should probably do like a third party. Like you should outsource it to somebody else that has nothing to do with the competition to begin with.
Yeah.
That way the promoters can't finagle things and be like, oh, we want this guy to win.
I think they, when people compete in the Olympia and the Arnold, they should just put their height into the system, and then there's no question then.
Yeah, I agree.
The new guys, maybe you still have to weigh some of them and height them, whatever at the shows. But once they make it to the bigger shows where you have, the A crew, doing the height and the weight, then
Yep.
just put in the system, and then over time, that takes care of a lot of it.
Yep. No, I agree. So, all right. So we'll start to wrap up here. But I asked you at the beginning of this to prepare a little story for me. So, what's a story you could tell on the podcast about something funny that happened at gym or a show or something along those lines?
Oh man, man, I was talking to Johnny. We were in Europe here a couple weeks ago, and for the Gas Better Body shows over in Stockholm, and we were there for about a week, and we were talking all about it. Man, I laughed so hard one night at dinner. It was just me and him and coming up with stories, and you start remembering other stuff that happened over the years. Man, I can't tell most of them though. But trying to think. Oh, well, I got one for you.
All right.
So we had a buddy used to work out with us, whatever, and he was hilarious, right? He was just shameless. And so Jace, my buddy's theory was this. He said he would hit on everything, right? It didn't matter. I mean, and I'm like, dude, he's hitting these girls, and I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you? He's like, nah, man, I can find something beautiful in any woman. And I'm like, bro, she looks like a farm animal. I'm like, what is wrong with you, man? And so he finally told me, he goes, man, check this out. He said, if I hit it, my goal is to hit on 100 girls a month. He goes, if I have 3% success rate, I get 3 chicks a month. That's 36 chicks a year. That's 360 girls in 10 years. And you're going to have repeat customers. So you're always busy. And I'm like, hey, you got a point, I guess. So we were at the Olympia. And so once I started doing well, everybody knew me or whatever. And so we did some videos. He was in our workout videos. And so he, everybody, all these girls would start coming up to him, right? Oh my God, you know Branch Warren, you can work out with Branch, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, baby. And so, man, he would go to Olympia every year with us, and he'd meet all these girls. He met this French girl one time, didn't speak English, but, she's like, had the video or something, or had a picture, I said, oh, yeah, I'll introduce you to Branch. So he would use me to, pick up these chicks or something. I'm like, you're unbelievable, dude. So he was always doing that. But great guy though.
Oh, that's great, man. Nothing better than you being used for your friend to get some.
Yeah, he was something else. So good dude though, man. He'd give me the shirt off his back though, man. Great guy.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
yeah, he would use access to meet me or whatever to pick up on girls all the time, man. He was
Name dropping.
yeah, exactly. So
That the only way that muscle gets you attention is if you use somebody else's muscle, apparently.
yes.
Because it was definitely more dudes coming up to you than it was women back in the day. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. And then I started working out so you can get chicks and then end up being a wiener fest. So good for
And then you end up posing in trunks on stage for a living. So I mean,
that's what I was telling somebody. I'm like, we're talking about a bodybuilder that's pretty cocky and and I go, bro, you gotta remember, we're grown men. We shave our bodies, we get our underwear, roll on our bodies, and flex at people. I go, man, keep it real, dude. Stay down to earth.
100%. That is funny. But Branch, I just got to say, man, as someone who grew up kind of watching you, like when I was starting to get into bodybuilding, like the Machiavelli videos and those kinds of things of yourself was something that I would use to get myself to the gym and your training and whatnot. And while I didn't like want to train like you, just the way you thought, and the way you went at things, the way you were intense with those things always inspired me. And to now be able to like call you a friend and someone that I look up to and actually seek advice from on a regular basis, I just got to say thank you. You've really given me some amazing pieces of advice and always been very forward with me and very honest and whatnot. And I appreciate that very much. You've given me great advice as far as being a dad, as far as being a coach. Like we've had some great conversations. So I just want to say thank you for the time now and then everything you've done for me in the past as well.
Man, thank you, Nick. Those videos back in the day, we just kept it real. We just did what we did. And I had no idea what turned into what it turned into. This weekend at the Olympia, I can't tell you how many, young men and women came up to me and they were like, man, thank you so much for what you did. You're the reason I got into working out. You inspired me. I had some CEOs and some meetings I had. They came up and they're like, you realize the reason we got into this is because of you.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, really? So that shows how old I am now. When you got CEOs of companies coming up to me and telling me this, but it's been a fun ride, man. It's been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't, those 15 years as a pro, I wouldn't trade for anything. I wouldn't want to do it over, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was definitely the time of my life, and I had a blast, and the good times by far outweighed the bad times.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So you've given me some great advice as far as being a man and a father too. So it goes far beyond just the gym and that sort of thing. So I definitely appreciate you. And it's been cool to see like the retired version of Branch, getting to crack some jokes with you and see you smile and like hang out with us up at the front desk has been a lot of fun, because obviously the people who don't know you, they know you for like those videos and being the really intense guy and the dude that's telling the Generation Iron dude to move out of his way in the gym and that sort of thing. So
Back in those days, you wouldn't know me because I'd have walked in, wouldn't have said nothing to nobody. I trained and walked back out, left, and no highs,
Yep.
buys, no fuck you, nothing. Just I was there for his business, and I didn't want to know people because I knew people they didn't want to talk to me, and I would never talk. So, but like me and Johnny were talking, we have more fun working out now than we did back then because we laugh and cut up and have a good time. Back then, it was all serious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still fun, just a different mentality.
Yeah, most definitely. But it's really cool to get to see this side of you as well. It's cool to see like the guy that you really are. Just the dude under the skin, not the dude who gets on stage. But I appreciate your time, Branch. I'm not going to keep you up anymore. You want to promote Wicked Cuts or anything like that, right quick?
Yeah, so Wicked Cuts, go to www.wickedcuts.com and check it out. We've got chicken jerky, turkey jerky, beef jerky, of course, and our number one seller, bacon jerky. Our maple bacon is number one on Amazon, and we're in 7-Elevens. We'll be in 8,000 7-Elevens across the country, as well as every other store you can think of. And or you can go direct to us and go to wickedcuts.com and get yours today. We also have beef sticks, and so check it out. If you haven't tried it, I suggest you do. You won't be sorry.
Didn't y'all just drop like a cinnamon roll bacon or something like that?
Yeah, man. We dropped a cinnamon roll bacon to the bacon lineup. Maple bacon is my favorite flavor of the whole lineup of everything, and that cinnamon roll is right there. It may dethrone a maple here in the long run. We'll see.
I'm gonna have to try that one.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's so good, it make you slap your mama.
Sorry, Mom. Christmas is going to be weird, but I'm going to try some of that bacon here. But Branch, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully I'll see you up at the gym soon. For anybody who is still watching the video at this point, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.